Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for a session on celebrating dissent. And it's a celebration of dissent and particularly women's blasphemy, because the world has changed because of the blasphemy of women, especially when we consider how every part of a woman's body, from her hair to her voice, to her thoughts, is considered blasphemous. Women are deemed to be deviant forms of men, and they are only palatable when they are silent, unseen, and unheard. Today, our session consists of Yasmine Baramawy, who is an Egyptian feminist and activist. She's a musician. Myself, Maryam Namazie, I'm the spokesperson of Council of Ex-Muslims of Britain, and I'm an Iranian-born activist. And of course, our beloved Ibtisam Beti Lashkar, who is a great Moroccan feminist, was meant to be here with us today as well. In this discussion, she has been in solitary confinement since the 10th of August. She has been sentenced to 2.5 years in prison for a T-shirt. I suppose it's important to note that Allah is lesbian is something that people feel very uncomfortable with. You know, when you talk to them about it, they'll say, oh, well, yes, what did she expect? But I think, you know, that is a conversation that's important to be had, because the reality is that there have always been female goddesses across the globe and also in the Middle East and North Africa. And it's only problematic for Allah or God to be female or a lesbian if you're a fucking misogynist and homophobe. Full stop. So we have this session today in honor of Ibtisam Beti Lashkar, in honor of all the blasphemous women sitting here today and also across the globe. I think one of the things when we look at this accusation of blasphemy, we can see very clearly that it's a way of controlling. That this is what happens at celebrating dissent. It's a way of controlling women's sexuality, which is seen to be a threat to the social order. And when we look at the witch burnings during the 15th and 17th centuries in Europe, we see how that was really used to prevent women from speaking and from living their full lives. And clearly, the concept of blasphemy, while it's seen to be offensive, it's seen to hurt the poor, fragile sensibilities of the religious. In reality, it is a site of resistance and for resistance of women who refuse and resist. And during the witch burnings and witch hunts in Europe, there was something called the skull's bridle, which I'm sure you all know about. It was a way of making sure that a woman who spoke too much was silenced. It had a metal rod that went inside the mouth. It had sharp pieces attached to it. So if a woman tried to speak, it was torturous and extremely painful. And of course, I would argue that the hijab, which is a pillar of sex apartheid, the segregation and discrimination and humiliation of women and treating women as second-class citizens, is similar to a fabric version of the skull's bridle. If we look at the situation of women across the globe, in countries where religion has the upper hand, in countries like Iran, for example, but not just Muslim majority countries, you see this control of women in countries where the Christian right are in power or coming to power. You see it where the Hindu right are in power. You see it where the Buddhist right are in power, the Jewish right, and so on. But we see how the hijab is not just a piece of clothing, but a way of really controlling women's bodies and sexuality, because a woman's body in and of itself, being a woman in and of itself, is an act of blasphemy. And this is one photo of women who've been arrested for improper veiling in Iran. And I know we often hear about how the veil is a symbol of liberation, it's a symbol of choice, but in fact, when we talk about religious impositions, very often there's very little choice involved. There's very We're going to see Yasmine move across the stage at various points. And I want to just show you a video of women who are being arrested for what's called improper veiling in Iran.
تو غلط میکنی خود نکن بتبرج
And of course, we see how religion is key in giving moral cover to patriarchal control of women and their bodies.
Nushuz here means she, for example, refuses to have intercourse with him. Then he gives her admonition. She comes back to intercourse, then khalas. If it doesn't benefit and she continues to refuse having intercourse with him, فَإِنْ أَظْهَرَتْ نُشُوزًا هَجَرَهَا. She continues in that, he boycotts her, meaning he doesn't sleep with her in the same bed. He doesn't leave the house, he's still in the house, but he doesn't sleep in the same bed as her. He abandons sleeping with her in the bed. فَإِنْ لَمْ يَرْتَعْهَا ذَلِكَ. If that doesn't, I said 4, right? Sorry, it's 3. If that doesn't help, then he's allowed to hit her a hitting that does not bruise and that does not break bones. Meaning, مثلا, he shakes her or the likes of the like.
It kind of reminds me of the absurdity of Islamic feminism, which is an oxymoron. Basically, the Islamic feminists argue that when disobedient women are meant to be beaten, it's not with a stick, but it could be with a toothbrush. Well, thank you very much. We don't want to be beaten by a toothbrush or a stick. Here's another example of programs on the Islamic regime of Iran's television station.
تبارک و تعالی چند قسم حیوان خلق کرده. یک قسم حیوان خلق کرده برای اینکه مردم وسیله سفر باشه براشون. اسب، شتر، این حیوانات چارپاس که مردم ازش استفاده میکنن برای سفرهاشون. این یک قسم حیوانه. یک قسم حیوان خدا خلق کرده که وسیله غذای مردمه و اون مثل گاو و گوسفنده که خدا اینها را خلق کرده برای اینکه وسیله غذای مردم باشه. و یک قسم حیوان خلق کرده و اون زنها و خانمها هستن. اینا عین گاو و گوسفند هستن، حیوان هستن، ولکن و خدا خلقشون کرده برای استفاده مردها، فقط واسه که مردا وحشت نکنن این زنها را به شکل خود انسان خلق کرده. اگر نه اینها عین همون گاو و گوسفند و عین همون اسب و شتر و الاغ هست.
تجاوز به حقوق دیگران، بدحجابی ها، اون آرایش کردن ها، اگر هدف این نباشه که من و شما رو تحت تاثیر قرار بده، تو فکر من و شما نفوذ کنه، چه هدفی داره؟
And of course, how feminism is so evil.
النسوية الحركة العالمية هذه ضد الشرع، ضد كل شيء. النسوية التي تتصدرها أوروبا وأمريكا وتخرج من هناك، هذه النسوية ضد الدين. هذه النسوية تقول لا قوامة للرجل على المرأة، والله تبارك وتعالى يقول الرجال قوامون على النساء. لا يمكن أن تكون نسوية وتقول الرجال قوامون على النساء. إذن ترفض هذه الآية، لأن النسوية ترفض أن يكون الرجل قائما على المرأة. النسوية ترفض أن يكون للذكر مثل حظ الأنثيين، والله تبارك وتعالى يقول للذكر مثل حظ الأنثيين. النسوية تقول للذكر مثل حظ الأنثى. النسوية تمنع أن يعدد الرجل زوجاته، والله تبارك وتعالى يقول وإن خفتم ألا تقسطوا في اليتامى فانكحوا ما طاب لكم من النساء مثنى وثلاثة ورباع. النسوية تقول لا، ما فيه، بل هن ضد الزواج أصلا النسوية. والحركة النسوية العالمية ترى المثلية اللي هي الشذوذ، ما ترى الزواج ولا ترى الطلاق بيد الرجل لو حصل الزواج. والله تبارك يقول فإن طلقتموهن، إذا طلقتم النساء يا أيها النبي إذا طلقتم النساء، يقول لا، الطلاق ليس بيد الرجل. وغير ذلك كثير من أمور الشرع النسوية لا تقبلها، لا تقبل أن الرجل أفضل من المرأة. والله تبارك وتعالى يقول الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض. الله جل وعلا يقول وليس الذكر كالأنثى، النسوية تقول الذكر كالأنثى. فلا يمكن أن تكون نسوية على القانون الأجنبي ثم تقول إنها مؤمنة بالله، لا يمكن. النسوية تقول لا ولاية الرجل على المرأة، والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول لا نكاح إلا بولي. النسوية ترفض ذلك. فلا يمكن أن تكون المرأة نسوية حقيقية أو رجل يعني يتبنى الفكر النسوي ثم بعد ذلك يقول إنه يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر. فالآن إذا جاءنا أحد وقال أنا أتبنى الفكر النسوي، نقول إذا كان يتبناه بما هو عليه عندهم لأنهم أساسه، هذا كفر بالله تبارك وتعالى.
And I guess that's one of the reasons why Betty says Allah is lesbian. Yasmine, would you like to add to that?
Yeah.
Do you want to come here?
Okay. I'm happy.
Look around as well while you're...
Quran?
Throw to me while
I love you, Maryam. Don't do this to me. Well, this is my first time ever to write a speech. So like it's okay. I'm beginning. Okay. I stand here not as a survivor, not as a symbol of pain, but as a thinker and an artist who refuses to worship silence. We have romanticized the word survivor until it lost its meaning. I'm not surviving anymore. I'm dissecting, questioning, and confronting the architecture of control, and that architecture for millions of women in the Muslim world is built on sacred texts. Let's be honest, the oppression of women in Muslim majority societies did not fall from the sky. It was codified, it was revealed, it lives in scripture, in verses and hadith, written by men, interpreted by men, enforced by men, justified as the will of God. We are told men are charged of women. We are told a woman's testimony is worth half of a man's. We are told a man may strike his wife if she disobeys. We are told paradise lies under the feet of mothers, but only if those mothers remain obedient, silent, veiled, and invisible. That's not a divine morality. That is a legislative misogyny wearing divine perfume. Let's call it what it is, a gendered theology of obedience. It starts with language, the very word qawamun that he was just saying. The man inherits, a man is in charge of women, becomes a justification of hierarchy, not partnership. It continues with the property in Quranic inheritance. The man inherits twice the woman because she's considered dependent by nature. It extends into the body, hadith describing women as deficient and intellect, like women have smaller brain and less religion. They are less moral and less intelligent. It reaches into the bedroom when the verse and the fatwa granting men sexual access as a marital right, while female pleasure, consent, and bodily autonomy are treated as theological footnotes. I don't like reading, okay. The religion is meant to be misinterpreted. If someone is defending the religion, they say it's a misinterpretation. And it's been happening, this misinterpretation is happening for 14 centuries already. So when will it be the time to condemn the religion? When will we stop protecting the religion and start blaming the religion? Whether it is meant to be misogynist or not, it is already. If it's a mistake, it doesn't matter. It still is misogynist. And it still controls women and kills women and take away their lives. So I don't really care what God meant, but God failed to tell us the reality. If it was good, then he failed to tell it, to deliver it to us. And even God knows, supposedly, that men will misinterpret his scripture. So he's still responsible. Like they say God has no, God is not guilty. It's not God's mistake. As if God didn't know that when he say beat women, men will beat women. It doesn't make any sense. So it's enough with feminism, Islamism thing, or political correctness, or like when I speak, like they say I hate Muslim. No, I don't hate Muslim. My family is Muslim. I was Muslim. My family is still Muslim. But when I speak about a scripture that is demonizing women and giving a legitimate cover for her oppression, that's my right. I'm talking about my right. I'm not attacking individuals or a group of people. That's it. Thank you. Thank you. I couldn't read it.
Oh, so I couldn't remember what the PowerPoint. So I just want to go through a few more PowerPoints with you. And again, as Yasmine said so brilliantly, it's not about being anti-believers. Of course, believers have the right to believe in the nonsense that they believe in the same way that we have a right to despise religion and to speak about what we think, and to do so peacefully and non-violently. And oftentimes it's as if we're the ones who are violent, because nowadays words seem to be more harmful than the threats and the violence that is meted out against non-believers. So I want to just carry on in this, just a few more slides that I want to show you about the ex-Muslim movement. You know, they say, well, why do you have to have an ex-Muslim movement? Well, because we're fucking killed if we leave Islam. So yes, we're going to start a movement in the same way that gay people came out of the closet. It's their business who they have sex with, but if they're going to be killed for it, if they're going to be discriminated for it, they're going to come out and say, I'm gay, I have a right to be gay. And in the same vein, we are saying, we're ex-Muslims, we don't believe in Allah, and if Allah was around, it would be much better if she was a lesbian, and that we... and that we have a right to exist and to believe and to think as we choose. This is a film that was made by Dia Khan in 2016 about the Council of Ex-Muslims of Britain. It's the trailer, so just so you can see the situation of ex-Muslims globally.
There's a battle going on in Muslim communities in Britain and across the Islamic world. A hidden struggle between religious fundamentalists and a group of people who are heading in the opposite direction. They are ex-Muslims, people who are leaving Islam entirely. They are forced to live in the shadows.
They locked me in the house and they hit me. I don't think it would be that hard for them to kill me.
I have 4 head stabs, like machete wounds on my head.
You are going to get shunned. You are going to get mistreated.
I found an underground resistance movement who defy fundamentalists here and across the Islamic world.
Internet and social media is our battleground. Our numbers are growing each and every day.
Just because we're silent doesn't mean we don't exist.
The hellfire is waiting for anyone who is rejecting Allah and His Messenger. Moreover, their families, they should not continue having any kind of relationship with them.
This is a time bomb of young people who are being traumatized, really. So, in a sense, the conversation we had initially as well about the fact that blasphemy, the celebration of dissent, while it's looked down upon, and, you know, how many people have said, oh, why did Betty have to wear that T-shirt? Why is she provoking them? The reality is they're provoking us. They want our heads for just saying what we think. And so this is our way of fighting back and of resisting and saying no, refusing to be silent. So one of the things we've done at the Council of Ex-Muslims is we've put together a women's Quran. And of course, we tried to find stuff in the Quran that was pro-women, and we couldn't find anything, as to be honest is the case with the Torah and the Bible and any other religious text. So basically this book is blank because, you know, what are we going to do? But of course, I am the prophet of the women's Quran. And I'm giving my own... I basically issue my own fatwas that I'm filling up the book. So this fatwa is the fatwa of the donkey. And you know the surah in the Quran which says, women are your lands, go and tilt them and do whatever you want with them. This one says, while you're tilting the land, get some donkey feet for yourself. And it's the women's Quran, the donkey surah, ayat 223, in case you want to write that down. And of course, this is another fatwa. Oh, you believing men, if women's hair bothers you, a donkey's mask has been created just for you. And this This is Surah of the Donkey, verse 59. And of course, we have the ex-Muslim because movement, where we had women coming and men coming up and saying why they're ex-Muslims. And of course, one was, some people don't believe in flying horses, get over it. Ex-Muslim because no 72 virgins for me. And this is from a film we've produced with Gita Sahgal and myself for the Council of Ex-Muslims of Britain on women leaving Islam. And I want to show you a clip of that.
And then it just consistently got worse.
Many people were just kind of, just telling me basically, we need to have a conversation. I think at first, actually, it was, we need to have a conversation, come meet me. My aunt, who I was very close to actually, she was like a second mother to me. She kind of said to me, we need to talk, but I can't have you in my house anymore because, I can't kind of host you, but let's meet in a coffee shop because I need to talk to you. And so we had a conversation, and she said to me, actually I want to speak to you because on the Day of Judgment, Allah will ask me, why did I not kind of speak to you and bring you back? So it wasn't even for me, it was for her, for her own back. And she said, I have to, tell me what your problem is with Islam and I'll do it right now. I'll tell you everything right now. We'll close this and you can take down the video and forget it. And I was like, oh, how am I, like, it's a 40-minute video. Like, how am I going to go through all the things that I disagree with? And I had a lot of that, a lot of like, what is it? What is it? Why? Come on, let's talk about it. Kind of as if they're going to kind of solve the problem. But as I said, I kind of understood it because I'd been there. So I was trying to be understanding. And I remember just saying to my aunt, like, she was saying actually horrible things to me. She was saying, like, what you're doing is disgusting and I can see shaitan in your face and, all these kind of horrible things. And I hadn't said anything and I just said, I love you. I just want to say that. And then I was like, this is how I feel. I can't really explain it to you, but this is just what it is. I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere to have a debate with her, especially her mentality and stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to be like, love, peace, happiness. This is what I'm about. If you want to kind of be like spouting hate to me, then that's kind of on you. But then I was like, I said to her in that moment, I don't want anything to change between us though. Like our relationship shouldn't change. Her daughters have been like sisters to me. So, and she was like, of course this changes everything. Of course this does. And I remember just having my heart like sink because I just thought, wow, it really is going to change. And so I haven't seen her or spoken to her or her daughters. They've all kind of immediately blocked me off Facebook and they just kind of cut me off. And these are people that I spent like a lot of my life with and grew up with. I was their bridesmaids, they were my bridesmaids. So it's like very, very close people to me. So, and then it was just like continuously having people like drop like flies, just kind of like, we can't hang out with you, like this is done. After they attempt to convert me, so it's like, in their mind, they're like, we'll try. And then it's like, this isn't going to work. And then more videos were going up on my channel about Islam. And then some people were saying to me.
So this is an example of the sort of shunning and pressure that people face, particularly women, even if it's not linked to death threats and violence. But I think what's important here is for us to remember, the sheikh who talked about the evils of feminism, how he was saying that it's a Western thing and, they're copying the West. What I really want to say here is that it's very much a universal thing. Feminism is a universal demand and desire of women across the globe. And I want to show you just a couple of photos and videos of women resisting. This is in Pakistan. It's the Aurat March, and I know Gita Sahgal will say Aurat means woman. Yes, but it also means in Islam the private areas of women that needs to be covered. And here the women are calling it the Aurat March. Now that takes some guts, I think. And they have been charged with blasphemy, they have had mob violence against them, but every year they're going and organizing the Orat March in defense of women's rights. You have women in Afghanistan. I mean, you know how scary, how brutal, how cruel the Taliban is. They've had 100 edicts against women. But these women are going out on the streets and facing the Taliban. I'm sorry, I think feminism is Eastern. I think feminism is Eastern. If you look at the women of Afghanistan, you're going to have to start learning from us, basically. So here's a video of them.
Soon after the Taliban took over Afghanistan in August 2021, the resounding protests of Afghan women demanding their right to education and work echoed globally, only to be quashed by the new rulers in Kabul.
To the international community, it is impossible for the Taliban to accept women.
And of course, the glorious Rojava in Syrian Kurdistan, a center of feminism in this world, in a war zone. They have banned Sharia law, they have banned polygamy, they are giving women reproductive rights and abortion, they have banned child marriage, and they have promoted women's equality at all levels. The center of feminism and reigning women's revolutions, it's in the East, not in the West. And finally, of course, Iran, where I was born and raised, the Woman Life Freedom Revolution, that was actually a slogan that was taken from Rojava and made global by the women and girls of Iran.
یونیستی و دنبال رو میگم این برنامه ریزی
Hijab burning, Iranian culture. So don't tell us Islam is our culture, hijab burning is our culture. And of course, another thing that's only our culture, but you're welcome to use it, is the turban flying phenomenon. I do want to end, we've still got quite a lot of time, it's only 4:30, so I do want to leave a lot of time for us to have discussions. Of course, Ibtisam Beti Lashkar's comrades are here, the Beti Lashkar Defense Committee. I want them to have a chance to speak as well. But before this, I want to show you a video of Beti. It's going to be too emotional for us, but just so you can see, yeah. Sorry, I didn't know how to add it to the PowerPoint, so let me just find it here. So you can see what women are doing across the globe and what our beloved Ibtisam Beti Lashkar is doing.
Mon utérus, mon choix, ma liberté. This sounds obvious, but this is not the case in Morocco. The state controls the body and the sexuality of women. With Mali, I fight for women to be in charge of their own bodies, walls, and sexuality. My name is Beti Lashkar. I am one of the very few openly atheist people in Morocco. I co-founded the Mali movement in 2009. We organized many successful actions and demonstrations. The first action we organized in Mali was a symbolic picnic during the month of Ramadan. Only 6 people showed up for the picnic, but with dozens of policemen and journalists present, the impact was huge. In poetic acts of civil disobedience, Mary works together with performance artists in peaceful, non-violent actions that break certain taboos. When Moroccan women have unwanted pregnancies, they may only have an abortion when the woman's life is in danger, and only with the authorization of the husband. The Moroccan government used women's bodies as a political battleground and to silence critical voices. For many years, I am fighting for the abortion rights of all women. Being able to make our choices about our health, body, and sexuality is a basic human right. Denying women this choice is denying women their freedom and autonomy. No doctor, politician, or imam should decide for women about their bodies. Since I survived cancer when I was 20 years old, I feel I can be fearless in my activism and my fight for people who are victims of discriminations. Overcoming cancer drastically changed my perspectives and personality. I have been assaulted by the police and other people, and I have been on an ISIS hit list. But I feel powerful and without fear when I can help others in fighting for their individual rights and justice. I want to say to women everywhere to be brave. We have to keep fighting against patriarchal terrorism until we have freedom. حرية.
So that is Ibtisam Betty Lashkar in her own words. Do you want to come up and say a few words? Okay. And then we'll start opening the floor up for discussions, and please feel free not to just ask questions, but make comments as well. Challenge us, we love it. Contradict us, we'll take care of you. No, I'm kidding.
Hi, my name is Sukaina. I'm a member of MAI, which stands for the Alternative Movement for Individual Liberties, which was the movement that Betty co-founded in 2009. It's a universal feminist and secular movement that campaigns for women's rights in Morocco, as well as individual freedoms, including sexual and reproductive rights, and freedom of conscience and freedom of expression. Betty was supposed to be here today on this panel, as well as tomorrow's panel, Women as a Battlefield, to speak on sexual and reproductive rights in Morocco. But obviously she's incarcerated currently for a t-shirt that she didn't even wear in Morocco. She wore the t-shirt in the UK, and not long after she came back to Morocco, the picture of her wearing it was retweeted by a man with a significant following on Twitter or X, and he was calling for her arrest, and that kind of stirred up a storm on social media of misogynistic, violent men calling for her arrest, for her stoning, for her rape, all of whom, many of whom are identifiable but remain free and safe, while Betty was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison. Her sentence was upheld this past Monday on appeal, although her lawyer requested that her sentence be converted to an alternative or humane sentence, which is possible in Morocco for non-violent non-violent individuals who are convicted in Morocco to do things like community service. That was rejected. We don't understand why, because she's eligible for that. Well, we do understand why, but there are really no legal grounds on which to reject the request. Betty is also quite severely ill in prison, where she has no access to medical care despite being at risk of losing her arm. She has a prosthetic bone in her arm following a bone cancer in her 20s. That needs urgent replacing, but she does not have access to the surgery in Morocco. And myself and several of her friends and other members of the support committee are here to speak on her behalf and to shine a light on the appalling injustice and persecution that she's being subjected to in Morocco. We have a stall here and also downstairs if you'd like to sign the petition to support us and support Betty, of course. It's a petition for her release. And we're also holding a fundraiser to cover the costs associated with her detention if you'd like to contribute via donation or by buying one of our T-shirts. Thank you.
I'm too old for this. Okay. Hello. So Amy is going to help us with questions and comments. Sure. We're keeping this because it works. Yes. So yeah, let's. Should we get a few questions and comments, and then we'll reply. And you start because I've talked too much. So should we just? Do you want to choose? We'll give you the power.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, in the footage that you showed of the ladies being dragged off for the incorrect wearing of the headscarf, it seemed to be a lot of women were taking them off and actually doing the admonishing of the not wearing it properly. And then you had the young lady saying about her aunt, how she would have to disown her because she would have to be answerable to Allah for not stopping her. Do you think that that's what makes the women that are admonishing the younger ladies and the ladies not wearing the hairpiece? Is that why they're doing it? Because they fear what's coming from Allah? I don't know.
We'll just take a few and then
Hi, thank you very much once again for an amazing talk. I think you know what's coming. So just to contextualise, the footage that you saw of the man in the mosque speaking in English, talking about how if your wife refuses to sleep with you, you can hit her. That was a UK charity that was said last year. If you want to find out more about it, we have got a report where it's featured. It's all about other charities which are doing this, which are promoting misogyny. I have very few copies left. I've got a few as well at the National Secular Society desk downstairs, so please do let me know if you'd like a copy. Thanks.
Hello. Well, identity, blah, blah, blah. Sorry. So sometimes, by some people, I'm perceived as a white woman. I was born and raised as an atheist, but I do agree with you 100% with the views on the veil and all of these, whatever name you want, this headscarf or veil or whatever. And I've been often shot with the argument of me being in a position of privilege, power, like who are you as a white woman to talk about the struggles of Muslim women? And yeah, I would just like to know if you can give me any ideas on how can I approach this discussion from my position, being respectful and at the same time being firm with my ideas and being heard, because maybe I'm missing out something. Thank you.
Maybe we'll, if that's okay, we'll answer
I will forget the answer for this one. It's a very short one. I really hate it when a white woman or a white supremacist tells me that they know my culture more than myself, and they know my religion more than myself. But everyone has the right to say what they think. So you don't have really to do anything, just say, you don't really need to be firm and force your opinion on anyone. Just say your opinion. If you see something that you consider oppressive, just say it. It is oppressive. It's not bad to do that. But it's bad to tell me that you know my problems more than me. You don't put any comparison, and life will be beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, to add to that, I think, it's if someone doesn't come from our background, to have these conversations is difficult. But to be honest, it's also difficult for those of us who come from this background, because it's a difficult conversation. And on the one hand, you have to be sure that women who wear the veil, choose to wear the veil, and I use that term very loosely, because I do think that there's a lot of pressure and coercion involved, including for women who say they choose it. That still you want to be able to make sure that a woman who is veiled can walk freely down the street and doesn't feel discriminated against or hurt in any way, of course. In the same way that we don't want apostates to be hurt because of what they believe. And I think the fact that, we respect human beings regardless of differences of opinion and beliefs is hugely important. I believe in politics that centers people before anything else. But I do think we should be able to have these very difficult conversations. And, they are difficult because for believing women especially, and since a young age, because a lot of girls have to wear the veil before puberty even. It's supposed to be, when they reach puberty, but it happens before, when they have to go to school, for example, in Iran, because they want to make sure girls are ready and indoctrinated. And you do see that even in schools in the UK, for example, where girls who have not reached puberty are wearing the hijab. And that I think is child abuse, whether it's a yarmulke on a child, or anything else. Any religious symbol on children, I think, is child abuse, because I think it's an idea and a belief. It's your belief as a parent, possibly, but you really don't have a right to impose it on your child, in the same way that if your father's a monarchist, as my dad is, he can't fucking force me to be a monarchist, because I'm a communist, So I mean, it is about, politics or beliefs or religions and so on and so forth. But this is a conversation that I think we are no longer able to have conversations, and we just saw that on the whole Palestinian-Israeli thing. Why can we not have conversations? We can disagree, it's fine. It's fine. And in fact, we have to show the way. We have to show that you can disagree with someone and still respect them as a human being. And we have to be comfortable to have uncomfortable conversation. To be honest, every fucking thing I do, I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable being on the stage. I'm uncomfortable taking my boobs out. I'm uncomfortable wearing Allah is lesbian. Uncomfortable, uncomfortable, uncomfortable. Because you don't want to upset people. You don't want to make people feel like, they're being attacked in some way. They're not, but this is what the world's come to, If you have any conversation, it's worse than rape and death threats and stoning, which is why Betsy is in prison, and those fuckers that threatened her with rape and death and stoning are walking free in Morocco. And that is exactly the problem. So, I'm sorry, I'm going off. But so I think we have to say, look, yes, the veil is something you choose, but you have to understand that from my perspective, it's oppressive. It's a way of controlling women and their sexuality. Like FGM, there might be a lot of women who hold their children down while they're cut and disfigured and humiliated and brutalized for the rest of their life. I don't care if it's a woman or a man doing it. It's just so cruel. And we have to be able to talk about it and say FGM is wrong, the veil is wrong, foot binding is wrong, breast ironing is wrong. But that's not attacking women who've been mutilated, women whose breasts have been ironed, women whose feet have been bound, or women who wear the veil. And this goes back to your question about women being part of the morality police. I'm sorry, I can't. Oh, yes, sorry. This is my 60-year-old brain. 59, not yet 60. You know, and the reality is that it's not, all men are not misogynists. Well, you know, hypothetically speaking. And not all women are, you know, feminists and pro-women. Margaret Thatcher was a fucking woman, you know, and there's lots of women in the Islamic regime's assembly that defend stoning of their so-called sisters. So I think, you know, you do find women in the service of misogyny, but it's still misogynist, no matter how many women join in. And I think, you know, you'll find people who support Hamas and Hezbollah and who support Israeli genocide, and even though 70% of those killed are women and children, as you'll find people who support the Islamists, like people on the left, and I'm on the left, who will side with the Iranian regime any day, to hell with how many workers and the working class and women they kill day in and day out.
I want to add something. When women choose to wear veil, they didn't really choose to wear it. They chose to obey God or men. But it's against human nature that you cover yourself when it's 50 Celsius. It's not a choice. It's, she's been abused emotionally. She's been terrified. She's been threatened. She believed she's worthless. She believed that she must suffer. It's not a free choice that she made. Nobody would be hot and burning and sweating and cover themselves and choose not to swim or to feel the air on their or the sun on their skin. That's not a human choice. So the choice is God's obedience, not the veil, not wearing it. Thank you.
I mean, Yasmine made an excellent point that just reminded me of something too, is the fact that, you know, when we speak about the veil, we speak about it outside of a context of sex apartheid. And in fact, the veil is a pillar of sex apartheid. And we had an event yesterday on this issue where sex apartheid, like racial apartheid, where black people were segregated because they were seen to actually not be as clean and as good as white people, and they needed to be segregated. And you had the apartheid regime saying, well, it's fine because we're separate but equal, but there is no equality in segregation in that sense. When it's, of course, women can have women-only spaces. You know, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when it is imposed by those in power, because the other group is seen to be unclean or a perversion. And so when you look at gender apartheid or sex apartheid, you see how women are segregated because if they are not veiled and if they are not segregated, they cause fitna or chaos in society. And it's a way of controlling women in order to stop the society from exploding. I don't know why it hasn't exploded here in this room with all of you sitting here unveiled. There's some...
Because there's no men. Because there's no men.
Sorry. Bring a banner. Let's do an experiment. So that's actually the idea behind it, which is what makes it, which is actually a lot more than this issue of, oh, is it a choice or is it not a choice? You know, when those fighting against racial apartheid in South Africa said, it is so humiliating, it is so degrading to be told that you can't come through the same entrance as white people. You can't walk on the same side of the street as white people. You can't access certain cafes. You have to live in fucking Bantustans and be separate, so we don't even have to see you. That is exactly what the veil represents when we talk about sex apartheid. It is about the fabric erasure of women from the public space, her voice, her face, her eyes, her hair, her thoughts. Only good woman is one that is quiet, unseen, and unheard. And that's why, you know, the thing we said earlier, women's bodies, women's voices, is in and of itself an act of blasphemy. And that is why they are so afraid of blasphemy, because it is one way of women resisting and challenging the status quo.
Hi. I wonder if you have any thoughts about the word Islamophobia. I mean, the word itself, not the concept. Because my understanding, and I've been reading about it, is that it's quite recently created. And it's been created to create the idea that it's a concept, a hateful concept, which is on a par, a very low par, with racism and homophobia, which is a hatred of people's immutable characteristics, which Islam is not. It's a set of beliefs, it's an ideology, it's just mutable. So I wonder if you have any feelings about this word itself.
Hello, these are more comments than questions. I think it might be timely to reread Andrea Dworkin's Right-Wing Women when we're talking about women who are the good little girls who do the men's nasty work for them and the sorts of privileges or delusion of privileges they obtain from that. You may not agree with all her conclusions, but I think it's a very informative book, and it goes back quite a few generations. It's been around a long time. Also on the white women taking a position and also on Islamophobia, I've done a lot of work on the French hijab debates. So I've been for quite a while I was Madame Hijab in my research community because I was the one who's supposed to know all about it. In 1989 to 1990, it was a veritable national psychodrama. And in answer to the woman who's saying, as a white woman, how do I address this? How do I react? I understand that sensitivity because if we look around us in the West, we are in an incredibly ugly climate where there is shocking racism against people of Muslim culture, particularly Arab, but not only, South Asian also in the UK and sub-Saharan African. And this is also the case in Australia, it's also the case in France, it's the case certainly in the US. So I understand the sensitivity when you're white, taking positions about these things is problematic, and those accusations fly around very easily. But you know what you do? I don't write about FGM, I don't write about the hijab debates or any other issue concerning so-called racialized women without actually consulting the women themselves. When I cite my sources, they're all women. When I talk about the hijab, I cite sources from the Arab world. I cite sources from North Africa in France. A woman, and when you talked about apartheid, sex apartheid, Maryam, reminded, I think her name was Rabia Abdelkrim, a woman of North African background in France at the time of the 1989-90 psychodrama. She said that before the hijab means anything else, it means that under it, there's a woman, and she is treated differently. You don't need to go very far to find women from the Muslim world who are saying what Maryam is saying. There are not tens of them. There are not even hundreds of them. There are thousands of them. You can find them in intellectual literature. You can find them in popular literature. Cite sources from the Muslim world. They don't all, Muslim women don't all speak with one voice. Women of Muslim culture, I mean. Yeah? Just as white women don't all speak with one voice. So to other white women, because I've been working on this for a very long time, to other white women I say, go to the sources. Go read what the women are saying. And know that they don't all agree with each other. And it's okay for them to not agree with each other. And it's okay for you not to agree with all of them. And I hate the term Islamophobia, by the way.
I actually wanted to ask a related question, because it feels like in the UK, for example, men of particular faith or men of particular ethnicity have had that to hide behind when it comes to societal misogyny, and they get away with it because they get people to look away because they're a special case because of the colour of their skin or because they attend a particular religious institution. And it feels like it's becoming much harder to have the conversation about women in those communities, not easier, because the political conversation is getting a lot more polarised, and you have right-wing ethno-nationalists saying, well, all men of this particular faith will go and be part of a grooming gang, for example. I found the conversation we had in the UK about grooming gangs so depressing, because yes, it was weaponised. That's better, by people on the right, but On the other side, on the left, you had people saying, well, this is dirty. It's a dirty issue because Elon Musk is now raising it. And actually, there's nothing to see here. And I'm sorry, that is just as despicable as the way that the far right weaponized it, the way that people on the left were like, but there's nothing to see here. Of course there was something to see here. There were victims who went abused and completely ignored and were totally silenced. And it's because of that, those men's ethnicity and their faith, that they were able to get people to look away and that they were able to get away with it for so long. So it's very difficult, I think, as a feminist movement, how do we force people to have those conversations in a better way in a society that it feels like is becoming more and more polarized?
Hi, thank you. So my question is, I completely agree that the root of the problem has to do with religion and spirituality, but you have a treasure in your land. That is the land, is the womb of the cosmic, of the grandmother, where you come from. I wonder how much Middle Eastern women know of the pre-Islamic goddesses, Halat, Al-Lutza, and Manat, and how much this will change if they will know, and the power of a life and death that these goddesses have. This is my question.
Okay. I will start answering about Islamophobia. It's not real. And even if there is a kind of discrimination against Muslim people, I hate to say that it is justified.
It was turned off.
We can disagree on the table.
Yeah, do that. Go ahead, don't be afraid, disagree with me. Okay, anyway, phobia is irrational fear. And when Muslims are threatening the non-Muslims, so it's very normal that the non-Muslims become afraid. So it's not irrational fear. And when a lot of, like, hundreds of terrorist attacks happens under the name of Allahu Akbar, so it's very rational that when someone hears Allahu Akbar, they get scared. A lot of people are traumatized from what they saw, from what they are seeing every day. That's not irrational fear, that's real fear. I am afraid of Islam. My mother doesn't speak with me because I'm not Muslim. Because God ordered her, don't take your brothers or sons or sisters or whatever as friends or as allies if they chose not to believe. Islam is racist, is sexist, is misogynist. Islam, or all religion, should not be considered something to be respected and categorized like race or sex or gender or ethnicity, because religion is not like your color. It's a choice. When you are black, you should not be discriminated against. And you cannot change who you are. You cannot change your sex. You cannot change your color, but you can change your religion. It's not in the same criteria. And when it really killed people and destroyed their lives and destroyed countries, it's time to blame it. It took all the time to defend itself. And now it's time that we defend ourselves from it. Islamophobia is not real, is fake, because it is rational fear.
So, you see, and this is going to be an example of how we can disagree with each other and love each other still. I mean, for me, I think there's some things that are important when we're having this discussion on Islamophobia. It is used as a way of silencing criticism of Islam, for sure. And it is a way of, in Islamic states, they don't call it Islamophobia, they call it blasphemy, and they hang you for it. Here they call it Islamophobia, and you're supposed to stay quiet. It is a way of bringing in blasphemy laws through the back door, which I think we agree on. I do think, though, I think we should be opposed to the term Islamophobia. But I do think there is bigotry against Muslims, there is bigotry against migrants, there's anti-Semitism, and what have you. So, and that is real. There's real racism. And with the rise of the far right, I think there is a real worry amongst minorities on the discrimination and violence and hate they're going to face. And of course, there's Islamic terrorism. But if you look at the statistics, the largest number of far-right violence is from the white nationalists, not the Islamists. It doesn't matter. Anyway, it's not like, oh, you're bad. They're actually mirror sides of each other. They actually feed off each other, and they are part of the same movement, dehumanizing movement. But I think what is important when we have a discussion critical of beliefs and ideas, that we don't place collective blame on human beings, because that, the reality is that even people who are believers are not the same type of believers as the jihadis and the Islamists. They might, let me say this, my neighbor might be a fucking racist, but he is not burning down asylum centers. So do you know what I mean? There's a difference between the misogyny that lots of people have, whether they're Muslim or not, versus those that actually attack women. So I think we have to give space for people to have even unpalatable beliefs, as long as they're not causing harm, but also not to place collective blame, because we all come from Muslim backgrounds. We were Muslims. And I know you said that it's a choice and it's different from race, but really how much choice do we have in the religion that we have been indoctrinated with? We are born, if I'm born in Iran, I'm Shia. If you're born in Egypt, you're Sunni. If you're born in, I don't know, Britain, you're Anglican, whatever. It's this, you're automatically, you have this label on you from birth, and it takes a hell of a lot of struggle to get rid of that label. And for us, it never ends. That label never ends, because you are allowed to think whatever the hell you want. We're not. So I do think that even though we can have the most unequivocal and uncompromising criticism of Islam, we have to allow space for treating people as people and not placing collective blame.
We agree. We are on the same page, Maryam. Why you said we disagree? But actually,
just say you disagree so we can tell them.
Yeah, we're fooling you. I mentioned that Islamophobia is not real, although there is discrimination against Muslim people. I'm talking about Islamophobia, not Muslim phobia. And I suffer from Islamophobia when it comes to individuals, because I'm considered one of them. And I believe more it's about white supremacy. That's where it lies, and xenophobia maybe. But Islamophobia is not real, although there is racism against it.
And just the one sentence on the grooming gangs you mentioned. Where are you? Sorry, I'm like, oh yes. Well, I mean, it's because the victims are women. And we know, how many white perpetrators are there, from Jimmy Savile to what have you, that where women have not got justice. So there's always an excuse for why women don't get and girls don't get justice. So I do think that it's important not to racialize it, because I'm sure the far right white nationalists who were defending women's rights and they were opposed to violence against women, 1 in 5 of those arrested had been charged with violence against women and domestic violence and sexual abuse. So this is nonsense. It's the same way with the Islamists saying, oh, we want you to wear the veil so we can protect you because you're like a pearl, fuck off. So I'm just saying we have to be careful not to, first of all, place collective blame, and second of all, people who are accountable have to be held to account, but there's a lot of accountability, including in the police. I don't know why the head of police was speaking here at FiLiA. I mean, they need to, they're a center of sexual violence and rape against women. What the fuck are they doing at FiLiA? But generally, I mean, that's the reality for women across the globe, including in Europe and the UK.